go ahead with resin. So resin is mainly known for the beach theme, because you can just bring the beach to your home. So this is one of the piece which you have seen even on bit class. So here I created a rocky effect with the 3D creatures. Same beach theme, you can go ahead with the real sand. So here I am having my real sand added to it. All right. Now this was just simple beach theme, which you can even do it on different mediums. I'll just talk about it when I explain you the things. All right. So this was one part, that is beach theme. The second, project, or the type for which the resin is known as, is the geode art. Now geode art is basically the art where we try to mimic the layers of earth, add crystals, glitters and everything, and then we create a geode piece. So that is another thing. And in case you have any of your memorable flowers or photographs, even that can be preserved for lifetime. So I'll show you a few of the coasters I have. Even we can preserve the flower to create a pendant. So there are so many options, but what is important is you need to first of all understand the medium and how to handle it, right? Once you understand that, you can create n number of projects. So moving forward, I'll be taking you through a bit of theoretical part, that is why we use the material. जो भी हमने list किया है, why we use that material. So the first thing that we need is a base. So here I'm taking a MDF base. This is 4 by 4 inch square. All right. Now, in case you don't have MDF, then what are the other options? Then you can go ahead with glass. You can go ahead with ceramic. You can go ahead with any of the canvas board, PVC board, plywood, as well as metal. All right. So as I showed you here, this is an acrylic piece on which I have done my resin art. This is a metal piece where I have done my resin art. So these are all, yes, Saloni, I already told acrylic also, PVC also. So these are the options to select as your base. MDF, plywood, PVC board, acrylic, glass, ceramic, as well as the canvas board. So these are the all options you can select in case you don't have MDF. Fine. Second thing which we need is, you can even go ahead with the silicone molds, but why I do not prefer is because still you are learning to mix in a proper proportion and everything. So in case if your calculation goes wrong, your resin will get spoiled and it will be a wastage of money. So till the time you understand what is the proper way of mixing, what is the proper proportion you have to take everything, after that use it in the molds and you'll get a perfect outcome. Fine. So moving to the second important thing that we need is the resin and hardener. So here, whenever you buy your resin, you will be getting it in two parts. One is resin and the other one is hardener. For today's project, I'll be using resin from Eporex company. I use resin from different companies like Eporex, Chemixol, Jags, Fortune Chemi, Tulsi. So there are many brands and it depends completely on the project that you are working. Fine. So when you like in our daily life, we have come across MSIL or Eraldite, right? So even that is resin and hardener, but it is in solid form. Aerolite is in liquid form, but it is not transparent. So the one that we are using here is the epoxy form of resin, and that will be transparent. So that's the reason we can use it for art form. All right. Now, when you buy your resin, there are few points which you need to check. So the first thing that you need to check is that it should be a casting or a coating resin. Why? If your resin is casting coating, then flowers like this, whatever you embed inside your resin, will remain clear for many years. If your resin is not a casting or a coating resin, then it will turn yellow in few months and you'll not be able to clearly see whatever you encast in it. So it's very important to have a casting or a coating resin. Second, you will find few instructions on this bottle. So the first instruction, it will tell you the ratio in which you have to mix your resin and the hardener. So what happens in the in market, there are various different companies which have the ratio of 2:1, 3:1, as well as 1:1. Each has a different purpose that we will be discussing in the further classes. As of now, I'll just tell you that for this beach theme, I am taking 2:1 ratio. Okay, so it tells the ratio in which you have to mix your resin and hardener. Second point, it says the minutes or the time for which you need to mix your resin and hardener. So in a cup, once you take your resin and hardener, you will have to mix till you get a perfect consistency. So that time is given and there is one indication which when we do it practically, I'll show you. Okay. So after this theoretical part, we will be practically creating this coaster, something like this. Okay. With some different shades. Then third point, yeah. So third point, which may or may not be written on the bottles, is basically the pot life of your resin. Now, what do you mean by pot life? So what happens once you mix your resin and hardener, it will start reacting and after some time, your resin will get hard. After that, you cannot manipulate your resin or you cannot add anything to it. So that workable time before your resin starts becoming hard is known as the pot life. So for my resin that I'm using today, the pot life is 25 minutes. That means once I mix my resin and hardener, I will have only 25 minutes to work with it in order to create anything. After that, my resin will become hard and I'll not be able to use it. Okay. Then comes the curing time. Now, curing time is the time after which you can functionally use your piece. So the curing time for my resin is 24 hours. So after 24 hours, in case I have prepared a coaster, I can touch it. It will not have the fingerprints or it will not be sticky. If I have made a clock, I can hang it. If I have made a tray, I can use it. Okay, so that is the curing time after which you can functionally use your piece. So for my resin, pot life is 25 minutes and curing time is 24 hours. But when I'm
Is
working with,
spotlight meant?
yeah, that's
Is
what I said.
spotlight meant?
That's what I said, that few vendors do mention it and few do not mention it. But if it is not mentioned, you can just contact the vendor and confirm it, or just mix a small quantity and check it after every 10-15 minutes. You'll get the pot life of your resin. All right. So I was just talking that when I'm working with bigger projects like 4 feet, 5 feet, that time 25 minutes will not be enough for me. So that time I select the resin which has a pot life of 45 to 60 minutes. Okay. So what happens? The reaction will be slow and I get enough time to work with my resin. So in that case, even the curing time will not be 24 hours. It will increase to 36 to 40 hours because the reaction is quite slow. I hope I'm clear till here. Do not unmute. Just say, you can just show thumbs up, yes, or say yes in the chat box. All right. All right, great. So these are the main things, you need to be careful when you buy your resin. Is there any validity of resin as in best before 6 months or kind of? See, as such, no. But yes, few food grade resin and all, they are like, they have validity of 1 or 1.5 hour. It shows bulbs or, yeah, bubbles. Don't worry, I'll show you, like Manya, don't worry, we will be doing that practically, so you'll understand, okay? So that's what I'll be coming to the next point. So first we discussed was the base, second was the resin and hardener. Third thing is a blowtorch. Now this is a blowtorch that we use to get rid of the air bubbles. Now what happens? Resin is bit thick. So when you mix resin and hardener, the air will get trapped and it will have small air bubbles. If you do not remove that air bubbles, I'll show you practically what happens. See, this is a piece and you can see the super glossiness of resin because I removed the air bubbles and it's super smooth and shiny. Now you see here, you'll see uneven surface. I did not remove the air bubbles from this part. So you can see the difference. What happens? If you do not remove, there will be small pits. So in order to get rid of that air bubbles, we use this blowtorch. When you press the button here, a flame comes out and that will burst out all your air bubbles. Now, if you don't have this blowtorch, what is the option? Go ahead with isopropyl alcohol spray, also known as rubbing alcohol spray, which you can get it at any of the medical shops. Clear? Now you saw my pieces. Each piece had some or the other shade. Some had blue, some had pink. So we need to add some color to the resin to give the effect, right? So that colors are known as pigments. So we have different shades of the pigments that we get. Same like acrylic colors, we get different shades, which you mix with the resin and your resin will get colored. But yes, you can use hair dryer, but hair dryer is not that hot that can get rid of air bubbles completely. Anmol will talk about the vendors at the end, not right now. Don't worry. Okay. So yes, I was just talking about the pigments. So pigments we have in paste form. Okay, the one which I showed you, these are in the paste form. Then we even get it in alcohol ink form, which is in liquid form. Also, the metallic shades we have that is known as the mica powders, and they basically come in metallic shades. Milone, it's blowtorch. Flame wala lighter, yes, you can use that. All right. So I was just talking about the pigments. So what happens? Pigments, there are many shades available in the market, but the pigments are quite expensive. So by the time you are still understanding whether you are comfortable with the medium, how to mix it and all, I would suggest not to invest in all the shades available in the market. So what you can do is invest in one shade, that is white shade for the beach theme. And if you want to try the geodat, buy only one or two darker shade and then you can add your white and keep on creating the shades, right? So what is the next option? So what we can do is, Tusharita, we are not going to mix the isopropyl alcohol spray. I'll tell you when I do the practical, what time you can use your isopropyl alcohol spray. I'm so sorry. You don't have to mix it. Heat gun, difference between blowtorch and heat gun is basically used to create the waves for bigger projects, and blowtorch is used to remove the air bubbles. But when you are using in molds, blowtorch has a direct flame. So that time in molds, we try to use heat gun more so that we do not spoil our molds. Pigment colors which we use in fabric, I'm not sure. I have not used that because these pigments are completely different. All right. So what is the next option? If you should not buy all the pigments available in the market, then you should you can use this acrylic paints, but not in the resin. Okay, because our Indian brand acrylic colors, they have lots and lots of water content. So what happened when you add this acrylic colors in the resin, your resin will form lumps and it will get spoiled. So what is the option? Use these colors to paint the base. Okay. So what we'll do is we will be painting the base completely with the acrylic colors. After that, we will be pouring a clear resin. And then we will use only one pigment, that is white pigment, to create the waves. Am I clear? I'll do that practically, don't worry. But I'm just explaining you that what is the option. If if you should not buy all the pigments, then this is the thing. Fine. So after this, we need small things like a cup and ice cream stick to mix our resin and hardener. And as resin is a chemical, it is advised to wear your gloves as well as the mask. Because when you heat your resin with this blowtorch, sometimes the fumes comes out and we don't want to inhale that. All right. So this was the theoretical part, and I hope I'm clear till now. All right, great. So now what I'll do is I'll quickly move my camera towards the table. And for today, thank you so much. So for today, what I'll be doing is for the sand part, I'm taking this black acrylic color. Okay, this is the black acrylic color that I'll take for the sand part. And for the water part, I'll take pink and yellow. Okay, so let's create a sunset shades. So I'll take pink, yellow, and a bit of orange also can be added. So now if you have any question, just type it up in the chat box because I'll be turning my camera and I'll not be able to see the screen. Okay, so I'll start with the sand part and first paint up the sand. So you decide up how much part of the coaster you want as your sand. I'm just making till here. Always go, I keep on telling in each of my workshop that always go from left to right. Do not paint in these broken strokes. It will not give you a professional end piece. Okay. So just go from left to right. It will give you beautiful strokes and a professional end piece, which will have very good effect. All right. Now I'll be starting with the water part, and as we know, for the water, as the water gets deeper, it gets more darker. But here what we are doing is we are making the sunset theme. So I'll be starting with the pink here, then orange, and then the yellow color. So first, and be careful that you do not merge your pink with the black or it will just spoil your piece. So slowly in the same way, go from left to right. I'm not painting here because the black is a bit wet. So till that, I'll just cover up the upper part and then slowly just cover up this part. All right, now just decide up till what part you want your water to be with the pink shade. So here I'm stopping here till pink. Now you do not have to wash your brush. Without washing itself, you will have to take the second shade, that is orange. Okay, so do not wash your brush. Just take very little quantity of your orange and then just go over your pink. Just try and merge it up with the pink here itself and you get a very good blend. Okay. Now we will be taking the third color, that is yellow. Here also do not wash your brush. Just go over the orange so that the color will just blend out. Okay, now just go up, up, up till the end of your coaster. Now, we see partitions. So here comes the main part is that you need to start from the top of your coaster and come till the end of your water part to have a very good blending. So here I start from the top and then slowly just go left to right, left to right, left to right and come till the end of your water part and you'll get a completely blended water. Now if you want a bit of your water to be more towards pink, then again start from the bottom and then go up. You'll have more of your orange yellow shade, but just blend it from top to bottom or bottom to top and you will get the complete shades that you want. Let me just show you, make it front and then show. So here we have wherein a bit, here my bit of black has got merged, so I'm not touching it. It's completely pink, orange and yellow. Okay. So just remove the excess paint from sides so that it doesn't hindrance. It's not a hindrance for us when it dries out completely. Okay. So we will leave this on side for it to dry. Anjana, I used orange, pink and yellow. So this is chrome yellow and this is orange 17, chrome yellow 3 and this is from Camlin and it is brilliant purple. All right, so I used these 3 shades and for the sand I have used the black color. Mania, I told in the starting itself that the link, I mean the material list is already there in the group where you joined. Okay, when you go to the description of the course, you will find it. Okay, you can do that after the class also, don't worry. Or when I explain, you can just note it down that also. See, basically why we use acrylic colors, because they are permanent colors. So we cannot use watercolor, poster color, because when you pour your resin, they'll just come out. Okay. So let's move quickly further. So I'm just leaving it to dry, and till the time it dries, let's measure our resin and hardener and get it ready. Now, if you see my pieces, the back side of my piece is also super clean. Okay, you will not find the resin droplets and anything here. So why I am not getting any droplets or any of the wastage on the back side is because I measure my resin and hardener according to the base. So I do not have a wastage or drops of my resin. So that is again a big thing to be done in order to have a perfect end piece. But that we will be discussing in the further session. But to explain you, like for today, I'm using a 4-inch project. Okay. And I need 10 grams of my resin and hardener final mixture. Now comes the theory part. I told you that the ratio is 2:1. All right. And I told you that I need around 10 grams of my resin and hardener for my piece. So the calculation will be 7 grams of my resin and half of it 3.5 as my hardener. So my ratio of 2:1 is also maintained, 7 and 3.5. And the required quantity of 10 gram is also sufficed, 7 and 3.5. So I'll get 10.5. Clear? So in this way, once you calculate the required quantity, there will be no wastage and it will not go down. Miloni, that's what I told. It is a lengthy process that will be covered in the further class, not possible to cover up in this 1-hour session. Okay. Yes, Karishma, that's what I told to Miloni also, that I won't be able to cover up that portion right now, but yes, that will be taught to you in the further class. So now what I'll do is I'll quickly turn my camera towards the table again and we will start measuring the resin and hardener. And for that, I'll just have to wear my mask as well as the gloves. All right. There's no proper ratio. It depends on the size that you're using. All right, guys, if my volume is a bit low, don't mind because I'm wearing the mask. So the volume will be low. Once I'm done, I'll just remove the mask. Okay, don't worry. Okay, so I'll be taking first my part A, that is resin. Okay, this is part A. Always see, whenever you're measuring, you may have the question, can I use the measuring cups? So if your measurement is in grams or by weight, like kg, grams and everything, then you'll have to use a weighing scale. If the calculation here is in ml or, like not in weight, but by volume, then you can use your measuring cups. So I'll be taking 7 grams of my resin. See, by when calculating, sometimes it can happen rather than 7, it can go to 8. So calculate according to that. If it is 8, then don't stick that हमने तो hardener 3.5 ही गिना था. Just do half of whatever resin you get. Okay. Now I'll take my part B, that is hardener. This is part B, hardener. Okay, so I've just taken the resin and hardener required one. It's 1 gram more than the needed one. So this is the one. You wanted to see the ratio, the bottle. It's Eporex. But I even use Chemixol, Jags, Fortune Chemi. There are so many different companies that come up. And you can use any company resin. That is not at all a problem. The only thing you need to check is it should be of good quality. Priyanka, I'll be taking that in the further class, as I told before also. I'll not be able to explain how to calculate right now because we do not have much time and I need to finish up the practical part also. So here you see that the liquid here is completely clear like water. Okay, now I'll be taking my ice cream stick and start mixing it. So what happens when you mix, do not mix it vigorously or there will be n number of air bubbles and it will be just an hindrance to know whether we have reached the end point or not. So mix very slowly and scrap the sides of your glass को scrap करना है so that we have a homogeneous mixture. Yes, you can use paper cups also. I also use, but when I mix, you will not be able to see the difference. So I'm using this. Otherwise, I also use the paper cups. Now, as you see here, as I started mixing, my liquid, which was completely clear, has become turbid like lemon juice. Okay, it is no more clear like water. Can you all see that? It is completely turbid white. Okay, now again comes the theory part. There was it was written that I need to mix my mixture for around 3 to 5 minutes, right? So now mix and scrap the sides of your glass as well as the base so that you have a proper mixture. Okay, and scrap it regularly till you get a completely clear mixture again. So what happens when you take your resin and hardener? It is clear. Once you start mixing, the reaction will start. So it will become turbid white. Now again, you need to keep on mixing slowly and scrap the sides as well as the base till it becomes clear again. Scrapping is very important and mixing slowly is also very important. See, we do not know our skin type, okay? It may not affect you on the very first time if you're not wearing the gloves, but the reaction will definitely happen in your skin. So we don't know whether our skin is sensitive or okay to bear the harm. So why to take the risk? Wear it, and in case it happens that even after wearing gloves, sometimes the resin just, gets on your skin, then the first thing you should do is clean it up with the sanitizer or isopropyl alcohol, so that with the alcohol, the resin will just get removed and then you can wash it with your soap and water. Okay. Now my resin has started turning clear again. It is again clear like water, but there should be some indication that tells me that, okay, now I need to stop my mixing and I can pour. Are you taking the base and giving acrylic paint on it? But if we use silicone mold, then we should. Yes, that's what I said, that when right now when you're understanding the medium, go with the base. But yes, when you're using the mold, you cannot use acrylic paints in that. So that time definitely you will have to. But till you are confident to handle the resin, then base is the best option. And as I told, invest in the pigments, but not all the shades. All right. So I was just telling that how will you come to know whether you have reached the end point of your mixing? Now you should stop mixing and you should pour. So for that, you need to observe the resin from top. And when you move your ice cream stick, there should be no lines forming behind the ice cream stick. Is my video visible to all? Hima, you can just leave and join back. Okay, so I was just telling when you should stop mixing. So observe it from top, move your ice cream stick, and there should be no lines forming behind the ice cream stick. Now, what do I mean by that? When you add a drop of oil to your water and you mix, there will be lines forming. So if you find that kind of lines in your cup, that means the mixture is still not mixed completely. But if you don't find that lines, it shows that your mixture is homogeneous and mixed nicely and it can be poured. Okay, so now even my poster has dried out and this mixture is also ready to pour. Let me just place this on side. So this is dried. Only a small patch here is still wet, but by the time we just arrange the things, it will happen. No, there is no proper direction needed, like clockwise or anti-clockwise. You can just do it. I did in both the direction, whichever was okay for me. Basically, you need that. Anjana, I already showed in the starting. Basically, you just need a clear mixture. Okay. Now, moving further, uh, you should not place this coaster directly on the table. कभी ऐसा हो गया by mistake, if this is not leveled and your resin is falling down, this piece will completely get stuck with your table. Okay, and it will get spoiled. So what we need to do is, we need to level this up. And for that, what I'll do is I'll be using the same acrylic colors. No, Prachi, I already explained that you cannot use acrylic colors, and I also gave you the reason why not in the resin. All right. So what I'll do is I'll be placing this 4 paint bottles because they are of equal height. So even if resin falls down, I'll only get the drops. My piece will be secure. Right. So let me just turn the camera. Prachi, basically acrylic colors of Indian brand, they have a lot of water content. So if you will mix that in resin, your resin will get spoiled. All right, so I'm just turning the camera, and here you can see I have placed 4 bottles, and over that I'll be placing my poster. Now, as you see in this piece, I have added resin only for the water part so that I get a bit of embossed effect. This sand part, I have left it clear. I mean, without resin. So what you can do here is you can add a coat of varnish to seal it up, or you can even leave it like this. All right. पानी आया ही कहाँ से पीत? There's no water here involved. Water and resin are enemies. I just gave the example that when you add a drop of oil to your water, जो lines बनती है ना, same way इसमें lines बनती है. That shows that your mixture is not ready. I'll tell Krutika, don't worry. I use purple. It is Camlin Brilliant Purple, Orange, and Yellow. The shades. All right. All right. So here also I'll be adding my resin only to the water part. Okay, I'll not pour it over complete coaster, but I'll be adding only to the water part, and make sure you do not add lots and lots of resin. अगर extra होगा तो वो अपने आप नीचे गिर जाएगा. So just pour a bit, spread it, and cover each and every edge and the corner. And then needed, then only add. Just see that each and every edge corner is nicely covered up. You can even spread with your fingers as you are wearing the gloves. Now to give a bit of natural look, what I'll do is I'll just get my resin a bit over the sand part. Okay, so I'll just check that each and every edge corner is nicely covered up with the resin. There is no empty space. Now remember the theory part. Why we are using this blowtorch? Because we have to remove the air bubbles, if you can see. So this is the time. If you have blowtorch, use blowtorch. If you have isopropyl alcohol spray, then just spray it here. Okay. So now I'm having this blowtorch. So when you are using your blowtorch, keep 2-finger distance and move it quickly. All your air bubbles will just get burst out. Same way, if you have blowtorch, just spray it here and your air bubbles will burst out. Clear? Now moving further, what I'll do is I'm having this resin. So I'll just a second. I'm having a bit of extra resin here, so I'll just transfer it out. All right. Now I'm having almost 1 gram of my resin and hardener mixture, and to that I'll show you how to add the white pigment which we need for the wave part. Okay. Yes, you can pour to the sand part also, but I usually don't do that because I like the 3D effect that water gets over the sand. Okay, so now here I'm having very little quantity of around 1 gram of my resin and hardener mixture. Now to this we need to add the white pigment. Okay, so I'm just cleaning up my ice cream stick. Just clean it up nicely because this has resin and hardener. So in case you do not clean your ice cream stick and add it to the pigment, as your resin and hardener will dry, your pigment will also dry. All right, so this is the paste pigment which comes in paste form, and I'm taking a very little quantity. Okay, a small scoop, and then just mix it up in this resin and hardener mixture which we had already used to pour the clear resin. So just mix it up and see that the mixture is very good and uniform. All right, so here now by adding this white pigment, we have colored up our resin. Now this is with thin. Okay, it is still very thin and easily flowing, and then it is just breaking up in between. Now, if I pour this white resin, I will not get the cell effect. I'll just get a cloudy effect like this. In order to have a very good cell effect like this, I need to wait for my white pigmented resin to thicken up for around 5 minutes till the consistency reaches like sugar syrup or honey. All right. So we will be waiting for 5 minutes. We are still not done with the session. We will be creating the waves, and I'll show you how the waves are created. So be in the session, and if you have any questions, just type it up in the chat box. And I'll even ask Sakshi to take it further till that.